Dame Cleo Laine, Britain's undisputed First Lady of Jazz, has passed away at the age of 97, closing a chapter on one of the most extraordinary lives in music history. Her death on a quiet Thursday afternoon marked the end of a dazzling era, one punctuated by groundbreaking accomplishments, boundary-shattering performances, and a voice that captivated listeners across continents and generations. Her children released a heartfelt statement through The Guardian on Friday that read, "It is with deepest sadness that we announce the passing of our dearly beloved mother, Cleo, who died peacefully yesterday afternoon. We will all miss her terribly." The family wished to be given space to grieve and ask for privacy at this very difficult time. And with that, a nation mourned, not just a jazz legend but a woman who, through nearly a century of life, embodied artistic excellence, resilience, elegance, and innovation. Born on October 28, 1927, in the modest town of Southall, Middlesex, England, Cleo Laine entered a world still reeling from the ravages of the First World War. Her father, a Jamaican World War I veteran named Alexander Sylvan Campbell, brought with him the rhythms of the Caribbean, while her mother, Minnie Bullock, the daughter of an English farmer, offered the stillness and structure of rural English life. This unusual pairing, a black Caribbean soldier and a white English farm girl, was not only rare but controversial at the time. Cleo grew up acutely aware of her mixed heritage in a country that had little understanding of what it meant to be biracial. Yet in this union, in this complex fusion of two worlds, something remarkable took root, a sense of dual identity that would later come to define Cleo's eclectic artistry. Raised in humble conditions, Cleo's family moved frequently, and she experienced firsthand the challenges of poverty and social exclusion. Though her father was a man of discipline and musicality, playing the piano and mandolin, often to the delight of young Cleo, the family's struggles with money and society's prejudices meant that Cleo's early life was far from easy. She left school at 14 and, for a time, worked a variety of jobs: hairdresser's assistant, hat trimmer, and even a librarian. But her spirit was never meant to be boxed in by societal norms or economic limitations. Cleo had a voice, quite literally, that was waiting to be discovered, a force of nature that defied expectation and soared across octaves with unimaginable ease. Her personal life, too, bore the mark of complexity and determination. Cleo became a mother and wife in her teens, long before she ever stepped into a recording studio. The responsibilities of young motherhood could have ended her artistic aspirations before they began, but Cleo's yearning to perform never waned. Her story took a dramatic turn in the early 1950s when she made the bold decision to audition for the band of one of Britain's most respected jazz musicians, John Dankworth. At the time, Dankworth was not only a gifted composer but also an acclaimed saxophonist and clarinetist. Cleo didn't just win the job, she won his heart. The two would go on to marry, leaving behind previous relationships and forging what became the UK's most celebrated musical partnership. Their marriage, lasting more than half a century, became a symbol of enduring love, collaboration, and mutual respect in both music and life. It was with John by her side that Cleo found the creative freedom to explore the full extent of her abilities. While many vocalists were constrained by genre or expectation, Cleo shattered barriers and refused to be categorized. Her voice, capable of climbing and descending through an awe-inspiring 4-octave range, was a phenomenon unto itself. It could be operatic one moment, smoky and bluesy the next, theatrical when needed, and always deeply expressive. Whether interpreting jazz standards, rendering classical arias, or giving voice to pop tunes, Cleo brought a precision and emotional weight that few singers ever achieved. She wasn't merely a singer, she was a vocal instrument, finely tuned and wildly imaginative. By the early 1960s, her talents were undeniable. In 1961, Cleo scored a major pop crossover hit in the UK with "You'll Answer to Me," a song that brought her voice to a wider audience and earned her recognition beyond the jazz sphere. But Cleo was never one to rest on her laurels. Her journey through the musical landscape was never linear. Instead, it meandered through stages and recording studios, television screens, and cabaret rooms, always elevating the form and bending it to her unique interpretation. She was that rare performer who made each song her own, not by overpowering it, but by understanding its emotional core, then illuminating it from within. The theater soon called, and Cleo answered with the same brilliance she brought to the jazz clubs. Her work in musical theater earned her international acclaim. One of her standout performances came later in life, in 1985, when she originated the role of Princess Puffer in the Broadway production of The Mystery of Edwin Drood, a performance so captivating it earned her a Tony nomination. By then, she was already a legend, but this accolade in the heart of American theater confirmed her place among the greatest performers of her time. Cleo had become a master storyteller, capable of captivating an audience whether backed by an orchestra or standing alone on a bare stage, the 1970s marked a significant turning point in Cleo Laine's career. It was during this period that her fame exploded internationally, particularly in the United States, a country known for its reverence of jazz yet often difficult for foreign artists to penetrate. But Cleo was different. Her voice, her charm, and her uncanny ability to connect with diverse audiences made her a star on both sides of the Atlantic. She performed at some of the most prestigious venues in the world, Lincoln Center, Carnegie Hall, delivering performances so electrifying. They were not only recorded but revered. Her Carnegie Hall performance was transformative, not only for her career but for the many who heard it. It led to her one and only Grammy Award win, out of 5 total nominations. Though many believe she deserved many more, that single win was a testament to a career built not on hype, but on substance, integrity, and timeless artistry. Cleo's appearances on television further broadened her appeal. Perhaps most memorably, she graced the stage of The Muppet Show in 1977, a moment that introduced her to an entirely new generation. The appearance was more than just a light-hearted cameo, it was proof of her versatility and her deep cultural reach. She could sing with the gravitas of a Shakespearean actress one moment and banter with puppets the next, all without losing a shred of dignity or sophistication. Her voice, always her greatest asset, seemed to come alive in every medium she touched. Throughout her long career, Cleo collaborated with some of the most iconic artists in music history. She sang with Ray Charles, her voice dancing around his in blue-soaked ecstasy. She shared the stage with the incomparable Sarah Vaughan, another master of vocal nuance. She even supported Frank Sinatra during a string of high-profile concerts. At London's Royal Albert Hall in 1992, a performance that drew rapturous applause and affirmed her status among the musical elite. Unlike many artists who fade with age, Cleo only seemed to grow more confident, more daring, and more radiant as the years passed. Recognition from the British monarchy followed. In 1979, she was awarded the Order of the British Empire, OBE. And in 1997, she received the ultimate honor, she became Dame Cleo Laine. These titles, while ceremonial in some ways, were deeply meaningful. They acknowledged not just her contributions to music, but her impact on British culture at large. She was no longer simply a jazz singer or even a musical pioneer, she was a national treasure, a woman who had risen from modest beginnings to become a beacon of artistic excellence. Dame Cleo's life was never solely about herself. Together with John Dankworth, she established the Stables, a performing arts venue in Wavendon, Buckinghamshire, which became a hub for musical innovation and education. The venue attracted world-renowned performers and fostered new talent, including a young Amy Winehouse, who once took to its stage. The Stables became more than just a concert hall, it was a living embodiment of Cleo and John's shared vision for a world in which music was not just heard but experienced, explored, and passed on. Even in her later years, Cleo remained deeply involved in the venue's programming and outreach, often performing and mentoring younger artists.